Welcome to the NHL Ice Guys for Tuesday, October 24th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, ready to break down another loaded NHL card, joined by my Ice Guys, as always, my wingmen, Alex B. Smith, Andrew McInnis, Dana Lane. Make sure before we start the show, we need to point out a couple of things, because the reason you get all kinds of great programming here from SBR, all of it for free. We've got to mention sportsbookreview.com, the website. Great website there. Make sure you're checking it out daily for free picks, live odds, sportsbook rating guide, bonus options with all of these sports books. You're going to get the chance, basically, thanks to Sportsbook Review, to pick sports books that you want, sports books that you can trust, that fit your style, I guess, what you're looking for in a sports book. It's all there at sportsbookreview.com. Make sure you also give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and also check out the links below this YouTube video. All kinds of links to YouTube, to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Google+, live odds page. Use the resources that are available to you at sportsbookreview.com, because honestly, everything is there for you that you could possibly want. It's going to make you a smarter bettor, and it's going to make you a better sports bettor in the long term. So make sure you check out sportsbookreview.com. and the links below this video as well. All right, let's break down the Tuesday card, October 24th. Let's have a quick intro with everyone. Alex, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. It's a brand new week. The weather's changing, not for the better here in Minnesota, but it's getting toward the time where hockey is the thing to watch because it's cold out. So hopefully we can keep rolling with some winners and break down some key information for everybody. All
right, Andrew, how are you?
Doing good, guys. Ready to break down some more hockey games for you guys. And like I said, Ian, great point about SBR to check out all the odds and, to find the best odds for every game you're looking for. So just ready for another week, guys.
All right, excellent. And Dana Lane, the resident Vegas Golden Knight supporter. Dana, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm right with you, Alex, because it absolutely, the weather is changing. It's getting colder. It's going to be 84 here today. So the kids and I are going to go and find our jackets in the closet and maybe some scarves in the upcoming week. So I hear you. I'm right with you, and I sympathize.
Very funny, Dana. Very funny there, right?
Yeah.
That's good, actually. Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to get right into Tuesday's card. Anaheim taking on Philadelphia to begin rotation 1 and 2. We have no line to be seen right now. The Greeks hanging a -115, but I've seen this before. I don't like mentioning those lone wolf betting lines because I find when it's becoming widely available, there's a huge discrepancy between what you see now at that lone sports book there, the Greek, and what you'll see across the board. So we don't want to make too much of that. We've got the Philadelphia Flyers. Just, they continue to play very, very good hockey. There's no question about that. It's not a team I'm looking to go against right now, although oddly enough, they've had some struggles against the Anaheim Ducks in the past. Coming into tonight's game, Anaheim 6-0. The last 6 meetings in Philadelphia against the Flyers, 8-1 overall in their last 9 meetings against the Flyers. And Anaheim coming off, basically a thumping of Montreal on Friday night, despite the fact that this team is still injury-riddled. I mean, there's still a team that's battling just a ton of guys out. We talked about Ryan Getzlaf many times already. Hasn't suited up yet this year. Ryan Getzlaf is expected to return to the lineup tonight from his lower body injury. That's certainly going to be a positive thing for this Ducks team. We know about the health scare that Patrick Eaves just has recently underwent now. The last 24 hours, we certainly hope for the best for him. Of course, he's out indefinitely. Lindholm has been upgraded to probable. That's big for the Ducks. They could get him back on that back end. And, of course, Vatanin's been out the whole year. They get Lindholm back, but unfortunately now Cam Fowler goes down to injury on that back end for Anaheim. So absolutely no luck, completely snake bit from an injury perspective so far this season here are the Anaheim Ducks. It's still a tough spot now. You're going on the road, cross country, first game. I like the first game of the road trip angle, but this is too much of a banged up team. I'd look to play the Flyers again. Just keep going with them. I've been doing that the last several weeks and several days, several games, and it's certainly been working out well. I'm leaning that way for sure. We'll see where the widely available number comes out on that game once more sportsbooks are reporting. The next game, we've got 3-4 Tampa Bay, Carolina. The Carolina Hurricanes actually taking some money. Tampa opened -115 on the road, but as impressive as the Lightning have been, people not buying it apparently, or at least there's some sentiment not buying it, because Carolina's now a -120, even -125 showing up as a home favorite now at bookmaker/Chris. We have a total of 5.5 here in this hockey game. So surprising a little bit to see Carolina getting all kinds of love here, but that's seemingly the way it is. I know there's a bunch of guys that are involved in this particular hockey game. I think everyone actually pretty much has a thought or opinion on this Tampa Bay Lightning Carolina Hurricanes game. So let us start off with Alex. You're involved with Tampa Carolina. What are you looking at in this matchup here?
Yeah, you got Carolina coming back home from a road trip, which is the angle that I love to look at. Then you got Tampa Bay playing really good hockey. Like I said, it's just one of a couple of games in the card tonight where I didn't understand where or why the game even opened, where Carolina here would be a favorite, and then the fact that they're taking money now, it's moved up. I played it when they opened at +105, and I see +110s, even +115s. It's just baffling to me. I don't see where what edge at all that Carolina has in this matchup. Tampa Bay has dominated against them over the years, on top of the fact they're playing really good right now. So just price alone, I think Tampa Bay is the side worth looking at tonight.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Andrew, what do you think of this game?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, seeing Tampa right now, plus money, it's kind of baffling for me. I just like the way that they've been playing hockey right now. I like the way that their team, as far as just depth-wise, have been playing in. And I know you don't want to get too quick of a rant on me about this, but I think Mikhail Sergachev is looking pretty good. Wouldn't mind having him on my Habs team right now, but looks like he got traded away as well. So Tampa's looking pretty good all around, and it seems like they hadn't had much trouble finding the back of the net this year either. So like Alex said, Carolina's coming back from a road trip. I think Tampa Bay is the obvious play in this game.
Yeah, you know what, Tampa Bay, Carolina, to me, there's some positives with this team, but they still don't score consistently. We need to put out an APB on Victor Rask. I believe he's gone several games in this season in a row now where he hasn't collected a point. That's bad news for Carolina. They need that guy contributing on the score sheet, contributing offensively, because we know everyone's got to be able to pick up the slack on this Carolina team who have had a little bit of scoring drought at times this season. And Dana, he's also in play with the Lightning and Hurricanes. This is a action-packed game for all of our viewers here. Dana, what are you looking here in this game?
Well, I'm glad that you guys are going with Tampa Bay, because there's nothing that makes my heart warmer than to go against the public. The fact of the matter is that I try to look at this line and figure out, well, what is everybody really looking at? Because off the top of your head, obviously Tampa Bay is what stands out. You know, it's funny, though, if you watch both of these teams, I think there is a element of the Carolina game that a lot of people are forgetting, and that is speed. And I did something last night that I don't normally do. I went into analytics to try to find, why is this line the way it is? And what really jumped out at me, and I know I'm probably giving bookmakers way too much credit, but what really jumped out at me is when you look at both teams' Fenwick rating, the Tampa Bay Fenwick rating is not very good, and Carolina is very good. And basically, what a Fenwick is total shots and misses versus and for and against. And Carolina's Fenwick is very good, and that means that they carry the play quite a bit. And I think they're a lot faster than what people think. And I'm not sure from an analytical standpoint if I'm still yet on board with Tampa Bay. I know that's crazy. I know they're 7-1, and I get it. But this is a Carolina team that's allowed just 27 shots on goal once this season, and obviously they're going to have to get a big game from Stahl and Teravainen and Justin Williams to be successful. But I'm going with the Hurricanes and at home tonight. I saw it at $1.06. I see it as high as -$1.16, but I'm taking a shot with Carolina tonight.
All right, so it's Dana versus the world, which is all three of us, because I'm actually on the Tampa side as well. It's fantastic. You know what? And Tampa's actually only 2-2 on the road. I mean, that is one thing we got to point out here. They are 5-0-1 the last 6 meetings against Carolina, head-to-head. Have done really good in this matchup. Look, Carolina's come far. They're an improving. There's actually going to be a bet on team, I think, moving forward. You know, they had a pretty decent road trip out west. They lost to Winnipeg to open it up. They beat Edmonton and Calgary, 2 pretty good wins there. Unfortunate they lost 4-3 in Dallas because they outshot them 39-26. So all things considered, that's a pretty decent road trip for Carolina. But again, those first game home off a road trip, especially when you had to go in 2 time zones over into the mountain time zone once. That's a tough spot. I think if it was just one of those situations where they're playing off a home game, playing off maybe one road game and then back home with not so much travel that they had to go through, this could be a better option, better spot for Carolina than it is. But the spot I think is against them. You know, I don't. That's good arguments Dana makes, but I don't like this spot off the road trip. That's never something I like. And now they're facing this Tampa team. So I'm going Lightning here, especially now plus 100 I can get. Absolutely. Maybe at minus 115 at the initial opener, Lightning on the road is a favorite. I'm a little less interested, but now I get plus money with this team with the pedigree. Yeah, absolutely. Tampa Bay plus 100 for me. Let's go on. We'll see how that works. It's Dana versus the world. Arizona taking on the New York Islanders, 5-6, minus 185. The New York Islanders as a home favorite, a total of 6 here in this hockey game. And, New York Islanders laying this price is crazy. I understand that the Arizona Coyotes are 0-8, 0-7-1 to be specific. That's terrible start for Rick Tocchet in his debut season as head coach of this Coyotes team. There's no question. We're still waiting for this Coyotes group to really flip the switch, get better. I don't know if I'm going to actually step up and bet it, but I'm trying to find a way to bet Arizona here at this big plus price because I just don't like the Islanders laying this kind of price against anyone. I mean, the New York Islanders, to me, 4-4. That's not great by any stretch. They've been okay at home, 2-0-1 so far this season. Arizona's obviously had tons of problems defensively, tons of problems in goal. Louis Domingue and Aiden Hill are not guys that deserve number one consistent starting goaltending spots right now in this league. They've proven that. They need Antti Raanta back in the worst way. Unfortunately, he's still out and has been out now for several games in a row with this lower body injury that just continues to plague him. I think the real surprising thing from Arizona, held to 2 goals or less now in 5 of their last 6 games. That's been the real surprise, I think. I expected this team to be able to put the puck in the net. I kind of figured they'd struggle defensively. Goaltending without Raanta would be a tricky thing. But the fact that they are not putting the puck in the net's a little bit of a surprise considering they've got some talent, some speed up front with the likes of Domi and Duclair. Christian Dvorak scored really well for them last year as well. Just not getting those offensive contributions, unfortunately, right now. And if you're not scoring your way out of your defensive warts, you're losing games left and right. And that's exactly what's happening with Arizona. So I've got a small lean to the Coyotes there, but again, I do not expect Raanta to be back in net tonight. And the prospects of me endorsing a Louis Domingue or Aiden Hill in net for this team, it's not something I'm overly jumping up and doing jumping jacks over, or something I'm excited to do. So I got a lean to Arizona, but it's probably just going to be a lean there. Edmonton, Pittsburgh, we've got rotation 7-8, Pittsburgh minus 150 in this game, total of 6 pretty much across the board. Edmonton Oilers, struggles continue, losing again on the weekend to the Philadelphia Flyers, just 2-5 on the season. Now, the good news is they might get some reinforcements here for this hockey game tonight. It looks like Drake Caggiula, depth forward, a pretty good one, actually, could return to the lineup tonight for this Oilers team, and they might actually get Leon Draisaitl back as well. He is waiting to be cleared through the final stages. Apparently, this is a decision that's not going to be made until after Edmonton's morning skate in Pittsburgh later this morning. So that's definitely something you're going to want to keep an eye on to see if he will be playing and in the lineup for this Oilers team. They need all the help they can get right now. It's been a struggle. There's no denying that for Edmonton. They could definitely use some reinforcements, and they might have a few of those back here coming into tonight's game. Pittsburgh just hasn't been able to put everything together just yet. There's no question. It's been a little bit erratic, a little bit up and down so far for the Pittsburgh Penguins hockey team. Just 5-4 on the season. We know, obviously, Antti Niemi put on waivers can't possibly be a shock to anyone who's watched him play this season. I mean, he's been absolutely shredded, just absolutely carved up in between the pipes. He gave up a 7 spot the other night against Tampa Bay. Not good whatsoever in that regard. But, it's obviously a pretty, what you would think is going to be a PO'd, angry Pittsburgh Penguins team. I don't think they usually take kindly to losing games of that magnitude. That's a couple big stink bombs they've had this year, the Penguins. We think about how Chicago ended up absolutely romping Pittsburgh early in the season, 10-1. And then they get absolutely bombed by Tampa, 7-1 in their last game. But the good news is we talk about good teams off a loss. That's always an angle that's good, serves me well in a lot of sports. Good elite teams off a loss, especially a bad loss. Look at how Pittsburgh responded after they lost to Chicago. They shut out Nashville 4-0. Look at how Pittsburgh responded after they lost to Tampa on the road. They came back to against Florida and beat them by a score of 4-3. So already a perfect 2-0 off a loss this season. This Pittsburgh team, that's a track record I'm reluctant to go against here. I mean, you've got to pay a price. You got to give a little up, as Dana says, but minus 150. But I'm not going to have an Oilers bet in this game quickly because it's a marquee game. It's a situation where this is a Stanley Cup Finals preview, according to a lot of people, before the season began. I heard Sportsnet guys and NHL Network guys, TSN guys, Oilers, Penguins, Stanley Cup Final. That was a very popular Stanley Cup Finals pick. And so far, you've got Pittsburgh up and down a little bit, not exactly clicking on all cylinders just yet. And you got Edmonton off to this massive 2-5 disappointment start. But again, it's October 24th. We caution people. There is a lot of season left. There is a lot of time for things to change, a lot of time for teams like Edmonton to get things rolling. But because this is such a big game, I'm going to get thoughts from all of you about it. Alex B. Smith, Oilers Penguins tonight. What do you think?
One of the big things I looked at is, look at Pittsburgh, 5 straight games over the total, like I said, mentioning that the goaltending and sloppiness, but and they're one of the top 5 teams in shots. You look at Edmonton coming in, the last couple of games, they played 2-1 games, so they've slowed things down a little bit. Like I said, getting some guys back. It'll be interesting to see who dictates the pace early. I think this might be a game where if you're in the live betting, I would look at betting this live, possibly see if it's going to be more of Pittsburgh's current form of up and down, lots of shots, lots of offense, or if it's going to be what Edmonton's been kind of playing the last couple of games, tightening things up, hitting a lot more physical and a bit of a slower pace. So that's what I'll be looking for tonight. See who gets the edge right off the bat.
Yeah, it's a product for sure of Todd McClellan just reaming his team out for their lack of attention and care in the defensive zone. I think it was early last week he did that. He's actually done it a couple times already. And finally, Edmonton has dug in with better defensive efforts each of the last 2 games, even though they went 1-1. They did play better in their own zone, gave up just 3 goals combined in the 2 games to the Hawks and the Flyers. So at least a step in the right direction. Andrew, it's a big matchup. Everybody's saying, well, not everybody, a lot of people thinking finals preview. What do you think about tonight's game?
Yeah, I think we can all agree that Edmonton's been the letdown of the NHL so far. They've struggled defensively. They struggled offensively. They really haven't seen much of any of the expectations that anyone really had out of these guys. But, I specifically think it's their defense, guys. I think that they have trouble, transitioning the puck up the ice. They have trouble getting the puck out of their own end. Simply, I think this game could possibly go over, but I don't trust Edmonton these days for getting those numbers. But I would say, a game for me, maybe about like a 3-1 Pittsburgh or 4-2 Pittsburgh kind of game for me.
I think they might try to push the pace Edmonton a little bit tonight because McDavid's has not scored since that hat trick that he had against Calgary. Edmonton as a team, just 2 goals or less in 6 straight games. And good quote from McClellan saying we're cleaning up the defensive part of our game, which is a good start for us. But now we've got to get the offensive part going. So that's a hint right there going into this game, right from the coach's mouth, that we might be looking to try to attack more and be more aggressive. From a totals perspective, it's over or pass for me, but not sure. I mean, we'll see. But those quotes kind of lend me to think maybe Edmonton's going to be okay with let's let the horses out of the stable. Let's run and gun and go with this Pittsburgh team. And certainly from a speed perspective, Edmonton has the potential to be able to hang with Pittsburgh in that style of game. Dana, what do you think here?
Oh, well, look, guys, I mean, I'm certainly, if I'm going to get a plus price with Edmonton, I'm certainly have to look to that side. I don't look at record as much right now. I look at pace of play. Are they getting offensive chances? I mean, honestly, guys, Edmonton's getting a ton of chances. They're just not putting it in back of the netminders. And in fact, they're averaging almost 39 shots a game. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, the quality chances are not always there, but that might change tonight. I mean, this is a Penguins team that Connor McDavid historically has been okay against. And we're also looking at the Penguins with a few injuries. You had Carter Rowney got hurt in Saturday's loss. You had Matt Hunwick get hurt as well. And so we don't know, if they're going to be 100%. I mean, there's going to be a point. There's just way too much talent on this team. There's going to be a point where this Oiler team breaks out. And, I think I like to compare, psychologically where teams are. And again, I kind of think that Pittsburgh, is a little bit satisfied, playing a little bit satisfied, is going to take a little bit to get going, where, you know, I feel like that this Edmonton team is going to break out at any point. And when they do, I want to at least get some plus money with them. And I think tonight's a good spot to do that.
All right. So a lean to Edmonton at the plus price, 130 you can get with the Edmonton Oilers, 132 actually at bookmaker/Chris. Again, shop around, get these best prices you can. And who helps you do that? Sportsbookreview.com. Check out their odds page. Look at all the books they give you on that live odds page. Unbelievable selection so that you can get the best price and the best number at all times. Next game, Florida, Montreal, 9-10. Montreal minus 125 to minus 130, and that price range is a home favorite. Total sitting at 5.5. And I'll put it very bluntly. If you're betting Montreal in this game, you're just going with some kind of gut intuition, nothing you're seeing with your own two eyes that indicates to you that this team's capable of playing well. You're going on a gut feel that this team is suddenly going to flip a switch and play some good hockey. That's it. That's the only reason you've got to bet this team here right now. That's the only reason. There's no defending it. If you're backing Montreal right now, and especially laying a price with them here at home, you think, oh my God, they're due for a good game. Fuck that. Due for a good game. I don't want to hear that crap. Due for a good game. I have to see with my own eyes that the team is competent. And I have not seen that from Montreal. It's a piss poor effort. That was a quit effort against Anaheim the other night from them. It was awful to see. Carey Price hung out to dry. A bunch of complete and utter stiffs and jabronis in front of him playing defense in that game. It was a complete shit show debacle. Oh, but the big solution here for Claude Julien, let's move Paul Byron into a top 6 forward role, because that's going to save us. That's going to save our season right there. That guy's going to perform. As you can tell by my voice, this is a one-way game for me. Florida or nothing. I don't care about Luongo being out. In fact, Reimer's played okay so far this season. He's a capable enough guy. He's been an extended starter in the past with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Montreal's off a road trip too. Big road trip back home. That's a tough spot. We talked about it. I don't like those spots. We didn't like it with Carolina. I don't like it here with Montreal with a reeling team. What is this? A rally the troops? That's what you're going on? Okay, we're going to rally the troops. No, and they're laying a price too. Sorry. No, Florida for me. Alex B. Smith, what do you think of this game?
You nailed it right on the head, Ian. I mean, we got a team, any team, like I said, coming off especially a cross-country trip. They were, the dreaded Florida or California trip. They went 0-3 in that. They've since the opening night, they've lost every game. They look absolutely horrible. I get Florida's not a good team. They're the only team that's right above Montreal, in that Atlantic Division standings. But the Habs are horrible right now. There's like I said, there's no life in them. Maybe things will turn around. I don't see it turning around tonight, especially coming back home off of a long road trip. And to lay a price with them right now, I texted somebody yesterday. I said the only team they might be laying, should be laying a price with, possibly would be Arizona. And I said maybe. That would only be if they were at home. If they were in Arizona, I think it'd be a pick'em game. So they're at the bottom of my power rankings right now. The only way you got to look at here is with Florida getting a plus price. Yeah,
and I'll preface this by saying if the shoe's on the other foot here, it's Florida minus 130. On the road. I'm not as interested in Florida. No way.
Sure.
This is all about price for me. This is about a plus price against a absolutely floundering, miserable team. And when a team like the Montreal Canadiens is struggling and in a rut and in a hole, and they're seemingly struggling to get out of it, things sometimes get worse before they get better. This is a pressure-packed, intense media market. When you are struggling, you're tight, you're nervous. You don't make confident plays on the ice. You're feeling the tension and the anger of the fan base, the media just hounding you day in and day out. That is not the kind of suitable, comfortable working environment to work your way out of a slump. That's all there is to it. So sometimes when you see a team like Montreal in such a pressure market, they sometimes struggle longer when they're in a funk. When things are going good for Montreal, we've seen this in the past. They've had brilliant winning streaks. Like they've won 9 of 10, 10 of 12, especially early in the season the last few years. But when they're in a funk, they find it very difficult to get out of. And boy, the way they played on that road trip was absolutely abysmal out west in California. This team has now lost, 7 straight games? Awful. Awful hockey. Poor Carey Price, who smashed his stick the other night. I actually don't blame Carey Price much for that Anaheim game. That was a complete. You could get little Timmy in Pee Wee hockey at 9 years old to play defense better than some of these guys. Jordy Ben, I'm thinking of you, and some of these other guys here on this Montreal team. Really terrible in their own end. Everyone's talked about how they're struggling to score goals, and we knew that would be the case. But this defense, I thought would decline a little bit. It's not just declined a little bit. It's fallen off a damn cliff so far this season. Not good. Andrew, I know he's frustrated as anyone, more than anyone, about this team. What do you think here?
A little shot in the dark here, guys, but I'm thinking about, of course, going against my Habs, but with a team total play on the Florida Panthers at 3. It's paying plus money, and I think if the Habs are going to ever bounce back from this rut that they're in, I think they're going to have to just start putting up some goals. I just don't think they're that defensive team, guys, and I don't think they're going to be that defensive team anytime soon. Like you said, it's been a complete disaster. Teams are just dumping, chasing on us, and skating circles around us. So I think that if the Habs are going to have any chance, they're coming back at home right now. Like you said, long road trip coming back from California. I think Florida does light the lamp here, and they put some goals up tonight.
All right, and Dana Lane, he's involved in this game. Dana, Panthers and Habs, someone's got to win it.
Well, this is fantastic because I enjoy always being on the other side. And, the fact of the matter is that it is basically a gut reaction, but potentially.
Oh, no, Dana, don't.
No, listen.
Come on,
okay.
Dana. Come on.
You know what?
This is a brutal hockey team. Minus 130. You got to get
my wallet out. I mean, we can talk after.
Come on.
It's minus $1.25. And the fact of the matter is that after beating the Washington Capitals, I'm not sure how excited the Florida Panthers are going to be coming into an environment where the Montreal Canadiens have now publicly went out and said that they're upset with their season after 7 straight losses. I don't know where they were after 4, but you would think after publicly going out that this is going to be the effort. Because if they don't win this game, their season is done. And not only is it done physically, it's done mentally. I would think that this is going to be the best effort that I get out of the Montreal Canadiens because they are absolutely finished if they don't beat Florida. Florida, to me, is coming in after a huge win off of the Capitals. I think that they probably think that this is a game that they should have. When you start thinking about games that you should have, you start looking ahead to the games that you shouldn't have. And I think that Montreal has an advantage there. Let's not forget, okay, as bad as Montreal is, they completely dominated the Anaheim Ducks in that second period on Friday. I don't know if you guys have seen a team have 30 shots on goal in the second period before, but the Montreal Canadiens had that. So there's something there. They have something inside of them that can win a game for 60 minutes. If you get 30 shots in a period, at least there's some less game tonight that Montreal has to win. You get their best effort. I don't care if it's minus $1.25. I'll take all your guys' money, and I wish you the best.
Well, all right. I have to say real quick. I have to remember there's 82 games in the season, guys, and stats out the window. All this stuff out the window. Thinking about it, I have to remind you that the past 3 seasons, the Habs have started off with an amazing record. They would be 10-2 in their first 12. They'd be killing it, having a great start. Even on their road trips, they did great. So, a lot of people from around here where I live are just saying, hey, look, well, what could happen? The last couple of years, they started off great, ended up the year shitty. Maybe this year they can start shitty and end up the year doing pretty good. So,
who knows? Maybe that's reversal.
But a little reversal maybe. But I heard there's some pretty big trades in the works for them. But again, like it is an 82 game season. And like Dana said, there has to be a friggin' game where they wake up and do something. So I honestly don't blame you, Dana, for that. I mean, I'm looking at that game as the same kind of thing. This is kind of a do or die, and it's a decent game because it's against Florida. It's one of those teams. It's not like the Pittsburgh Penguins are coming to the Bell Center. It's a Florida Panthers. This is a team where they can look at and say, hey, look, this is a team that's just decent. Maybe we can have a chance here to not embarrass ourselves in front of the 21,000 fans that pay for our overpriced beers and hot dogs. So, we'll see what can happen. But I think if this is a spot that Montreal should hopefully step up.
That's another disgrace. The prices of hot dogs there is ridiculous. A whole bit. It's ridiculous. The most expensive ticket, I think, in the NHL Montreal for a crap-ass product for a team that hasn't won in 24 years. Wow. Give me a break.
No, but the press food is fantastic.
Yeah.
So it is the best in the league. I will tell you this. You can get excited that Julian is going to break up Drew and Pacioretty. I mean, now they're going to have a little bit of a shakeup. Maybe that's going to be a wake-up call for these guys. I don't know. But, Lehkonen, I thought played his best game against the Ducks. Byron has scored in 2 straight games. I think that Drouin's getting a ton of chances. So I think it's right there for Montreal. But this tonight, guys, has to be their best effort. If not, I probably will never be on them the rest of the season. Let's not forget, too, Carey Price is their goaltender. He can steal one. So
he could.
Carey Price.
Yeah, if he has a friggin' guy in front of him that can help him out a little bit, he might be able to, but that's been a problem. The thing is for Montreal too, and there's an argument to be made, they've had lots of shots, lots of chances. Well, and people like to talk about shots and chances and all that. Well, I see 42 shots against Chicago. I see nobody able to put a puck in the ocean, 1 goal. I see 30 shots against San Jose, 2 goals. 37 shots against LA, 1 goal. 51 shots against Anaheim, 51 shots, 2 goals. I mean, this is just, at some point, I got to see production here. Put a puck in the net, please. I'm begging you here, Montreal. Put a freaking puck in the back of the net, please. Please.
A lot of their shots are on the perimeter, Ian. I mean, a lot of their shots are on the perimeter. I mean, that's I watched their last 2 games. The Anaheim game I watched twice. I mean, everything is at a perimeter. There's nothing greasy in front. They're not jumping on any rebounds, and that's the toughness in front of the net is really their issue right now. But again, I'm comfortable tonight. We'll see what happens, but I like to go against the public.
There we go. If you're a bet against the public guy, you're on Montreal. That is true, because I don't know who's going to want to lay a price with them other than Dana Lane. But Florida Panthers, Montreal Canadiens, it's a great matchup here in this particular game. We'll see what happens. 1-3 Florida on the road, 0-2 Montreal at home. Something's got to give here tonight. And I will say this, Florida's losses, I'm looking at them, twice against Pittsburgh, no shame in that, a loss against Tampa, and a loss against Philly. No bad losses there to me, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Detroit-Buffalo, 11-12. We've got Buffalo minus 125 at home, total of 5.5 here in this particular game. Not much of an opinion here. I mean, Buffalo's a team that's, I'm not enamored with laying a price with by any stretch of the imagination. They're still having a real tough time defensively. Leonard and Johnson in net, not exactly a duo I'm trusting right now. But Detroit, on the other hand, 3-2 on the road. They've actually played a little bit better, the Red Wings, on the road than they have at home. Of course, the Sabres winless at home. If anything, I'd have to lean to Detroit plus price. I mean, Buffalo there, 2-5-1, not great by any stretch. It'd probably have to be a side where I look at the Detroit side there in that particular hockey game. We'll see how that one ends up being. What do we got next? We got LA-Ottawa, 13-14, no line on that game right now between the Kings and the Senators. Kings on a back-to-back situation. Of course, they were in Toronto last night, lose 3-2 to the Leafs. I actually ended up on the Leafs a little bit right before puck drop because I was able to get a little bit of a better price last night. One of those situations where there was some money early on for LA. Everybody flocking to the 6-0-1 start for the LA Kings, and I understand that's a good start. And actually, they took some of my money on Saturday when they beat Columbus. An impressive win. Good call for Alex there. Alex was on the Kings Saturday night, got the job done. But against Toronto last night, not able to get the job done, facing a Leaf team that I don't think was feeling too good following the loss to Ottawa, and they played a pretty good hockey game. Frederik Andersen in net was good. Mitch Marner finally got going for the Leafs, which was a good sign. A couple of points for him in that Leaf win. But so a tough spot here for LA facing Ottawa coming off, and Ottawa obviously off since Saturday, the win against Toronto. No line on that one. It's probably not a game I'm going to be involved with anyway. So definitely an easy one to decide, hey, I'm staying away from it. And that's exactly what I'm doing in that one. We've got Canucks and the Wild in the next game, 15-16. Huge home favorite, Minnesota, minus 200 in this game. Total of 5.5, shaded to the under. Alex wants to talk about this game, and I kind of have a feeling I know where he's leaning, I should say, in this game. I know for a fact I don't think he's lining up to a late minus 200 with the home team here in this game. Alex, what are you looking at here?
Yeah, definitely not. And like I said, I saw it when it opened. I saw some places 185, and I thought, okay, that's a little high. But yeah, the fact that it keeps going up and up, and it's more of a thing too. I mean, like I said, being up here, I'm hearing the talk. The natives are getting restless. Everybody's real upset now. They're saying that Zach Parise might miss another month because he was going to have a secondary back surgery. The backstory was that he had a back issue that he played through during the playoffs last year. Should have taken care of it right then and there, because Minnesota looked horrible going into the postseason. They got knocked out, and he's been dealing with it ever since. So now, if he's out, they're still having a bunch of other issues offensively. This is kind of like it's not as dire as like Montreal, for example, but it's kind of a must-win game, I think, for the Wild at home against a Vancouver team that has been doing very well. I said it a week ago on the show. So if they're going on the road, if they're going to get some wins anytime this season, it's got to be on this road trip. And they've won 3 of the last 4. They've looked pretty damn good. It's probably the best we're going to see them look all year. That being said, this is the end of their road trip. They're playing a Minnesota team that's going to be hungry for a win tonight. I'm not playing this game, but I'm definitely not going to lay 200 with the Wild. So it should be an interesting game to watch. But if Vancouver can keep their momentum rolling, they score early, who knows? They can take the crowd out of it and may be able to steal another win.
All right, and Andrew's involved in this game, or at least wants to discuss it. Andrew, what are you looking at with the Vancouver and Minnesota game here?
Yeah, no, I'm going to continue to go with the Vancouver train right now. Look, guys, I'm just going to say I don't trust Minnesota right now. I don't trust them to score goals. I don't trust them to track people in front of the net. I don't track anything like that from these guys right now. I think right now with the plus money that we're getting from Vancouver, I think it's it's almost maybe looks like too much of a trap for me, but I'm all over it. This young Vancouver team has not only been putting up goals, but they've done a good job, I think, of preventing them and defensively as well. So I think overall in this past couple of games, they've proved a couple of things to us. And in my opinion, they're telling me why stop. I think that what they're showing me right now is just a good overall effort, and they're playing good hockey. So even though they're on the tail end of a road trip and they're playing a Minnesota Wild team that may be rested and maybe does play that different style, I just can't see Minnesota keeping this a low-scoring game, which is why I think the plus money is worth it for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I'm actually going to get involved in some form here a little bit with Vancouver. I mean, the one thing about them here is that they've given you that hard effort every single game. They've been in pretty much every single game for the most part. I mean, Travis Green has got this team working hard, and that's all I care about. And this kind of price range, when you're talking about getting a team, plus 170, like you can get here with Vancouver in this game, just get me a team that's get that lunch pail effort every single night. And we're seeing that from Vancouver, 4-3-1 start to the season, and now facing a Wild team that, again, is struggling. They're struggling offensively a little bit, but struggling defensively a little bit. There's not been a great start to the season either for Devin Dubnyk. They are coming off a win against Calgary on the weekend, 4-2. Give them credit for that, but they're back home. They haven't won yet so far this season, and we'll see what they're able to do here. But yeah, it's not one. It's definitely not even close to best bet status for me. But I think Vancouver plus 170, a small flyer of some degree on them, something worth looking at. We've got Calgary, Nashville, 17-18. Nashville minus 135 at home. Total of 5.5 pretty much across the board in this one. Let's go to Dana Lane to start with this game because he's involved in the Flames-Preds matchup here tonight. Dana, what are you on here?
Does everybody here like Nashville?
I like them more at home than I do on the road. I'll say
Fantastic.
That. But even then, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're with you.
Okay, good. I will say this. Hey, look, I thought that Nashville looked a little bit lethargic against New York. I mean, it was a 25 shot effort. I mean, and I know that shots on goal aren't everything, but last time I looked, the team that led the league in shots on goal the last 2 years has a couple rings. So it is an important stat. Of course, quality of shots is also important, but I do like to see teams that are in that, at least into that 30 range. And I've been kind of going back and forth on Nashville much of the year. I thought that Subban in the game against New York was pretty unnoticeable. I thought Sissons was unnoticeable. I think that they're still kind of going back and forth between being what they were last year and kind of being satisfied from being in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. I don't always think I'm getting the same effort out of Nashville that we saw last year. The point is about this is I don't always like their body language. And if I don't like a team's body language, I don't really have any, in this case at least, I don't really love laying a price. I know I'm on Montreal, I get it. But the Flames have won 9 out of their last 10 games playing on 2 days rest. They've won 4 out of their last 5 visits to Nashville. I know that goes over a long period of time, but still an impressive feat. And I actually like the Calgary Flames more on the road than I do at home. And honestly, you listen to Glenn Gulletson talk, and he says, we kind of like playing on the road. We're a little bit more relaxed. We play more of a simple game, and you do hear teams talk about that. And even going back to last year, it's not a one year thing. Even going back to last year, there were 10 or 11 games over 500 on the road last season. I just thought that they played a more complete a more reliable game on the road. Obviously, with Jágr hurt, they called up Mark Jankowski, and if you followed Jankowski at all, I mean, he's a kid that's had pretty good numbers at Providence College, and of course he had good numbers for the Stockton Heat as well. So I don't think that there's going to be that big of a deal. In fact, it might be the infusion of some young talent might help Calgary as well, even though Jágr's got a couple assists this year. He's going to center the line with Sam Bennett and Curtis Lazar, so I feel good about that. And honestly, having Bennett shift from center to left wing is probably good for him. So he needs some new real estate to get energized and enthused about his game. Honestly, I thought Calgary outplayed. I mean, Alex, you can talk about this. I thought Calgary outplayed Minnesota for much of the game, even though they dropped the game. But excluding for a few minutes, I thought Calgary played extremely well against Minnesota. So I have no problem getting some of the Flames tonight and getting some plus money against Nashville.
Yeah, see, for the first time on the show, I don't totally hate a Dana pick here.
That's
here
good. Well, that makes me feel good.
There we go. We're against him with Tampa. We're against him with Florida. And now this one, I don't hate this pick, actually. Nashville's better at home, but Calgary to me is, still played pretty good hockey. I like that collection of youngsters for Calgary, Gaudreau and Tkachuk and Bennett and Monahan. I mean, they've got a good group up front. And you're right about the road record. Last year they were better on the road. Already this year they've been better on the road. So decent little dog there, I think, with Calgary. At the plus price in that game in Nashville. And Nashville's been a weird team. Nashville just hasn't put it all together at any stretch so far this season. I mean, coming off a loss to the New York Rangers on Saturday, 4-2, been inconsistent. They've won a couple, lost a couple. It's been that kind of start for them so far this season. We'll see if they can get it going tonight at home against a Calgary team that you think is probably going to bring a good effort after the Minnesota game Saturday night. Probably a game they could have deserved and could have maybe warranted getting a better result than that. Dallas taking on Colorado, 19-20 on the rotation order. We've got Dallas a -130 road favorite, total of 6 in this hockey game. Of course, the Stars really still looking to get used to Ken Hitchcock's style system. They've had a little bit of up and downs trying to get it going, but 5-3 so far this season. Only 1-2 though on the road. That's a concern. And Dallas on the road even last year was a little bit of a up and down team. So in terms of the price point, I know it's Colorado. It's a team you should be able to handle here. But -130 to -135 on the road with a team like the Stars still, transitioning to the new system, new head coach and Hitchcock here. A little bit of a leap of faith to lay that kind of price. I don't want Colorado that much, I know. Here in this hockey game, we see Colorado at 4-4. They are 2-1 at home. They've played decent here at the Pepsi Center, but it's a Colorado team dealing with some injuries here as well already this season. That's a concern as well coming into this game. Dallas as well has owned this team recently, 5-0 head-to-head in the last 5 meetings against Colorado. So, again, I was looking to make a case for the Stars here in this game. They've won 4 straight. They've already beat Colorado once at home this year, beat Arizona twice, beat Carolina. They haven't exactly beat a great team yet, but I don't think Colorado is a great team by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I can tell you right now, Dallas hasn't beaten a great team. These wins, 2 against Arizona, Colorado, Carolina, and Detroit. So they have really feasted on the weaker entries here in the NHL. But again, I consider Colorado a little bit of a weaker entry. They've lost 3 straight against Dallas, Nashville, and St. Louis. Dallas, again, I was looking to back them in this game, but not really in love with the price point being -130 with them on the road. So I'm going to stay away. We've got Chicago and the Vegas Golden Knights to wrap up the show. Rotation 21-22. We've got Chicago -165, road chalk, total of 6 across the board. Slightly shaded to the under. And how about this? This has got to be, not got to be, I know it's the first time I've seen this. I mean, you're talking about a 6-1 hockey team. 6-1 on the season. And they actually opened up higher than this. They were closer to a +160, a home underdog when this line opened. As a 6-1 hockey team, +160 home. Talk about no respect whatsoever. It's like Rodney Dangerfield all over again, reincarnate. No respect at all. And that's the Vegas Golden Knights here in this game. No respect at all against the Chicago Blackhawks, despite the 6-1 start. Now, granted, you can poke a lot of holes in the 6-1 start. I understand that completely. They've been outshot in a lot of games. They've dealt with a very home-friendly, easy cupcake opponent schedule. I totally understand that. But we did talk about prior to the St. Louis game, hey, the schedule's toughening up. You've got a perennial playoff team coming to T-Mobile Arena and the St. Louis Blues, and still didn't matter. You're still able to get the job done, still able to win that hockey game, in spite of the fact you lose your second goaltender season. Already Marc-Andre Fleury out, although he's close to practicing again. And now, of course, Malcolm Subban leaving that game and now on injured reserve list for the Las Vegas Golden Knights in that hockey game. So as a result, now they've got to turn to Oscar Let's put on your goalie pads and save the puck. Let's dance. And we'll see if he's able to get it done here for the Vegas Golden Knights in net. Oscar Dansk, likely going to be in net here tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights in this hockey game. Hey, you know what? This team doesn't make excuses so far. They could have said, Fleury's out. What are we going to do? They still kept playing hard, find a way to win games. Not going to be easy here against Chicago. Obviously, we know schedule toughening up. St. Louis, now Chicago. Now you're down to your third option in net in Oscar Dansk. But it's his first start. He came in relief for Subban last game, made some decent saves, good positive confidence builder coming into this one. Obviously starting a game, knowing you're the starter, it's a whole different kettle of fish. I understand that, but definitely a situation here where it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. And again, Vegas, I think they're going to really tighten this thing up around him, play good defensively, play good in front of him, not try to exchange chances with this Chicago team, which has proven at times this season to be pretty darn potent offensively, especially early on. They've cooled off a little bit, Chicago, offensively recently. They've scored 2 goals or less in 4 of their last 5 games and been a little bit more up and down. Chicago just 2-3 in their last 5 games. So listen, there's a lot of reasons to bet against Vegas here. I understand that, despite the 6-1 start, third goalie. But again, this team still finds a way. And at this price, this find-a-way attitude of Vegas is not a situation I'm looking to bet against right now, especially in this kind of price range. So if I'm betting it, I'm looking toward Vegas at the plus price tonight in that game. Alex B. Smith, the Hawks fan, as they head to Vegas. What do you think here?
Well, it's interesting. The Hawks have not been playing good at all. And then you look at the win they had the other night against Arizona, where everybody's been beating Arizona. But their offense has tapered off tremendously since the beginning of the year, in my opinion. And looking at the spot, now they had 2 days off. Now the Hawks, keep in mind, we always joked about this before when they announced that there was going to be a team in Las Vegas. We always said, how are teams going to respond having a day off in Vegas, so forth? Are they going to get smashed, partying or whatnot? The Hawks always party or take a day off in Vegas during their California trip. So this is not a new thing for them to be in Vegas around this time of year. So it's kind of almost falling with their routine, obviously having to play a game there. It's going to be, I'm assuming, a split crowd. I know I've always heard there's a lot of Hawks fans that are in the Las Vegas area, but obviously things are hamping up now. I mean, things are changing. It's not like it was a few years ago, but the thing is, I think I would look at Vegas in the spot. Honestly, I think they know they're playing one of the top teams in the league. They're 6-1. Like I said, they're a team that can play with the big boys. They got to prove it every night now, being at home. I think we're going to get really good effort out of them. And the Hawks, they've got to show me, a lot more right now than what they have. No way I'm going to play them at this price. So if I'm looking at anything, I would be looking at Vegas.
I'll tell you what, it would be great to see the Riley Smiths, the William Karlssons, the Shipachevs, Alex Tuck, guys like this for Vegas to really step up offensively. We know Perron has been great this season. James Neal's been phenomenal for Vegas. No denying that whatsoever. But they're going to need some of these guys to really step it up at the offensive end of the ice. And collectively, you look at this blue line group, you wonder, how is this blue line group 6-1? Nate Schmidt, Spiza, Miller, Hunt, Engelland, Merrill. I mean, these guys, it's not a slew of tremendous defensemen back there. But still, collectively, they've battled hard. They've dug in and been able to give this team a chance to win on a nightly basis. We'll see if they can play good in front of Dansk here tonight. Dana Lane, the resident from Las Vegas, what's his take on this game tonight?
Well, I could tell you guys, I don't have any interest in laying that kind of price with Chicago. And, even though the Oscar Dansk is starting tonight, honestly, George McPhee, there's something that he likes in this kid. I mean, they didn't overreact and go out and get Niemi yesterday, which a lot of people thought, well, what would hurt going and getting Niemi? And I understand.
No, Dana, you don't get Niemi. Sorry, you don't get him. Good decision, George.
Okay. Well, I can tell you this, Ian. No matter what people think about Niemi, the guy's 100 games over 500 in the National Hockey League, had played in back of a horrific defense last year. And I'm not going to take 3 games with the Pittsburgh Penguins and say, well, that's what you are, because the fact of the matter is he's an NHL goaltender. So do you want him for 30 days after you pick him up on the waiver wire, or do you want to what if Danks gets hurt? Then you got Maxime Legacy. Do you want to go with that, or do you want a goaltender that has won games in the National Hockey League, even though his last name is Niemi? I mean, so you have to make your choice on that. You're 6-1, and I think there's part of me that says that you owe it to this team and to this crowd that goes out there and supports this team every single night to at least make an effort to get a NHL goaltender that has had success. I mean, Alex will tell you, Niemi wasn't that bad in Chicago. Niemi wasn't that bad in San Jose. And honestly, I mean, they put nothing in front of him in Dallas, and they put nothing in front of him in front of Lettinen either. So, I mean, not that he's been great. I understand that. But his save percentage historically in his career is not that bad. There's a lot worse out there. And I can tell you, you have him for 30 days. Oh, and lo and behold, PK Subban is supposed to come back in 30 days. That seems easy to me. But they're going to roll with Danks right now. But I think if Danks does not perform well tonight, and even if Legacy has to come in, they do have to make a move, because they have Colorado next Friday, and then they play 8 of their next 9 games on the road. And if you don't have quality NHL goaltending that can give you, or even a guy that resembles an NHL goaltender, that 8 out of 9 on the road, that 6-1 all of a sudden becomes an under 500 team if you don't feel comfortable with what you have. Now, listen, Danks has had one good year in the OHL with the Erie Otters. Other than that, it's been pretty bad. So I'll give McPhee the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens tonight, but I certainly don't want to play the price with the Chicago Blackhawks. I will take the plus price and just continue to ride this magic that is the Vegas Golden Knights.
I agree. Vegas plus price. That's the only way I would play this one. All right, we are running out of racetrack here in terms of time. We're going to go right to best bets. Hey, unfortunately, we had a sweep on Saturday. Unfortunately, it was a sweep in the wrong direction. Unfortunately, 0-4. But hey, it's going to happen for the season, though. Still a very good best bet record, 17-11. We'll take that, and we'll hope we can improve on that here on Tuesday's card. Let's start with Alex B. Smith. Your best bet.
My best bet. I'm going with Tampa Bay. I think this Lightning team is catching Carolina at a really good spot right now. You want to use the horse racing, terminology. Their current form looks really good right now. So at a good price, I'm going with Tampa Bay. I think they're going to be able to get some goals and get the win tonight.
All right, Tampa plus 100. Best bet for Alex. Andrew, best bet. Put your mic on. There you go.
Yeah, sorry about that, Ian. You know what? I'm just going to keep it simple and go with what I was going to go with anyway. Not going to let it distract me. I'm also on the Tampa Bay Lightning for my best bet. I'm liking it as well, Alex. And I just think tonight's the night that really everyone's going to think that Hurricanes are this, Hurricanes are that. Well, I think tonight's the night that the Lightning prove how much better they really are than this Carolina Hurricanes team. And I think Kucherov, Stamkos, and all those guys can just come in and take care of business and show the Hurricanes that they're actually an elite team. I don't think this Carolina Hurricanes is an elite team by any means. I think they're a team that can hang with the tough dogs, but they're not a big time team like the Lightning are.
All right, there we go. Tampa Bay plus 10. Actually, we'll give you guys 105. That's up there now. Plus 105 with Tampa Bay rotation 3. That's Alex's best bet. That's Andrew's best bet. Mine is actually a different best bet. And it's the one that's pretty much stuck out to me from early yesterday morning. We're going Florida Panthers here, plus 110, rotation 9. Montreal's got to prove to me they can have some degree of competence as a professional hockey team until I can lay a price with them. Let's see if tonight's the night. Everybody says we got to circle the wagon spot. We'll see if it's true, but I'm not buying until I see it with my own eyes. Florida plus 110, best bet for me. Dana, best bet for you to wrap up the show.
Well, you know, guys, if we just split on these games, we're guaranteed to finish over 500 for the season. So we'll be 6 games over. I'm just a thought. But hey, listen, I'm going to take Calgary plus that plus price against Nashville. I love the way that they play on the road. I've always been a huge fan of Glenn Gulletson since he's been in Vegas, and they're just more comfortable at home. And I have no idea when I'm getting out of Nashville. They're up and they're down. I can't get a read on them, and I don't like their body language from their game the other night against New York. So I'm going Calgary plus the plus price against Nashville tonight.
All right, there we go. Calgary plus price for Dana as his best bet for the show. So there we go. We've got Andrew and Alex with Tampa. I'm with Florida. Dana with Calgary. All sides, 4 sides. Hopefully a 4-0 is coming for best bets on this show as we try to bounce back from Saturday. But hey, days like, I caution the viewers, days like Saturday are going to happen in terms of best bets. We want to hit everyone. We want to win everyone. We want to cash everyone. Not always going to happen, though. But hopefully a better result tonight on the NHL card. Thanks to everyone for tuning in again. Check out sportsbookreview.com. Check out the website. Check out the links before the video. Give us a like if you enjoyed the show. And thanks again for tuning in. It's 9 a.m. Eastern time. It's even earlier for a lot of people, including our good friend Dana Lane. And the fact you're tuning in live is, we really do appreciate that. So keep on checking out the show. And by all means, if you know a hockey fan or a hockey bettor out there, by all means, tell them about this show. We want more viewers. We want to get everybody and as many people involved as possible. That's going to wrap it up, our Tuesday, October 24th edition of the NHL Ice Guys. Andrew and I are back at noon Eastern with the CFL 3-Down Breakdown. We will be back Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern for another edition of the NHL Ice Guys. For Dana Lane, for Andrew McInnis, for Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy the Tuesday night card, and we'll be back on Thursday. Enjoy the games, and good